friends, welcome. Thank you for your support of my channel. You either come across my channel on YouTube or through LinkedIn newsletter. Either way, thank you so much for your support. I thought to come on and introduce myself. In one of my videos, I had mentioned not getting a promotion was the best thing happened to me. I didn't mention what happened after not getting a promotion. So I'm gonna do a Q&A style to introduce myself. First of all, my name is Hui-Lin Liao. I am originally from Taiwan. I live in Canada for the last 36 years. I live in a French province. I live in Quebec. Professionally, I am a CPA in both Canada and the United States. For the last almost 30 years, I was in tax practice. I was at Big Four. When I moved to the industry, I worked strictly in tax planning for the last 10 years or so. Starting the beginning of this year, I retired from my tax world and focus 100% on helping people quiet their mind so that they can take action and live their life by design and not by default. Now, I booked a trip to India, to an ashram in India, to find myself, because clarity is step one in your life. When you don't have clarity, your direction is off. Think about setting GPS. On your GPS, if you don't know where you're going, you are never going to get there. Prior to that, I was already practicing yoga and meditation every single day for at least 2.5 years. And I follow a guru named Sadhguru, if you want to follow him. I went there. I met someone who changed my life, my roommate in India, Dee. She was a serial entrepreneur, young, and 2 years prior, she just sold her startup company to the company called Salesforce. At that time, I didn't know who Salesforce was, really. And so she was very spiritual, extremely successful from a financial perspective. I told her I felt stuck and unclear, confused about life. I was looking for the purpose of my life. And she told me that if you want to get unstuck, you need to learn to think differently. And spirituality is not enough. And she would go to the ashram 5 times a year. So I found that very interesting because I was someone who was using pros and cons list to make all my decisions. And she was very spiritual. And she used only intuition to make all her decisions. And she was speaking a language I didn't really understand. Long story short, I came back to Canada. I didn't find me. I didn't have, my purpose of life was not like, boom, all of a sudden I had it. Getting very frustrated. But then, 2 months after, I had a spiritual awakening. I had experienced that I was not my mind and I was not my body. This was the yoga mantra I had to utter before practicing yoga every day. And all of a sudden, I was somewhere else. I was not the mind. I was not the body. I was everywhere. It was really powerful for me, very, very emotional. And that realization, for some reason, filled the gap, the emptiness I had within me. All of a sudden, instantaneously, the emptiness was gone. And that emptiness was what's causing me a lot of pain in life. I used shopping to fill the void. After that, it completely collapsed my belief system. I just started to look at life differently. My roommate Dee, she later on told me she was taking Bob Proctor's program. And I didn't know who Bob Proctor was. I just knew if it was good enough for her, it would be good enough for me. Anyways, I enrolled in Bob Proctor's program. Without knowing who Bob Proctor was, I shot out $40,000 on this 6-month coaching program. And after 6 months, 0 results. Even though people around me all had a lot of results, I was one of the few that didn't have results. So from accounting perspective, I had a negative ROI. So a lot of my accountant friends were laughing at me. But what I didn't know was my beliefs started to shift because I saw my classmates around me. Most people have tremendous amount of results. They multiply their income so much within 6 months that shattered my belief system. I had no results, but I asked myself, what if I was wrong? So that was the beginning of my own transformation. I continue on studying the law of attraction. Then I move on to quantum principle, quantum physics, how to have a quantum leap. So long story short, went back to the corporate world. I wanted to test it out. So on day 3 of this new job as a tax director, I identified a tax refund opportunity that brought in 6.3 million US tax refund. And it was completely effortless because I didn't study any tax the year prior. All I did was I learned about myself, I reconnect with myself, I learned to quiet the mind through yoga and meditation at the ashram. And that result was effortless. I just followed my intuition. I had a hunch that to check certain rules, because it was during COVID time, I didn't work for a year. And I thought, maybe let me check some provision. Maybe there are some new rules. That's all I did. I trusted myself at that time already. I no longer doubted myself. And it begins everything. And here's one more thing I didn't mention. Within a few months on that job, I tripled my hourly rate. Then I left. I started my own tax consulting practice. For the last 3 years, I've been working less and making more. But what surprised me most was what happened when others started learning this too. Tax partners, financial analysts, they began breaking their own records, professionally and personally. 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, within months of learning to quiet their mind. That's when I knew this wasn't just my story. And that's why I built this channel. If you want to know more what to expect, watch the next video.